Welcome, everybody, to another installment of the amazing, ridiculous, fantastic Opinions Are Stupid with your hosts, Jason and myself. We're here again. I'm actually right outside the Cloud City of Bespin. As you know, there's been some unrest in Bespin lately. I just thought I'd check it out myself. I'm kidding. There's no unrest in Bespin. It doesn't exist. So, Jason, how's it going? What happened this week?
Good.
Anything good?
Nothing crazy. The normal, running around with the kitties, try to find time to catch up with you when it comes to pop culture. But it's hard. It's difficult to catch up to you. You're a busy man when it comes to the pop culture world.
I'm a busy man. Always plates always spinning.
He's always one step ahead of me. I think I'm up. I'm a certain episode. He's 10 episodes in. That's the way he works.
Well, you beat me this week because you watched In the Heights.
I did.
And you have your quick review with no spoilers.
No spoilers
Don't spoil
whatsoever.
things on this show, folks.
No,
we don't spoil. But what do you think of In the Heights? I have not seen it. I'm gonna try and see if I can see it this week. But anyway, go ahead.
So the last time we spoke, one of the things I was nervous about was the director, because being that this is such a Dominican, Puerto Rican, Washington Heights, it's just Hispanic, Latinos all over the place,
right?
Right.
In Washington Heights, which is far up on the end of Manhattan, the tip of Manhattan, the
right.
northern tip of Manhattan,
right off the GWB.
Right off the GWB, where you get on the West Side Highway, and you get off maybe a little early for some rice and beans, and then
right.
a double pollo double.
Con sazón. Exactly. The good stuff, the good food.
The good stuff. But the reason why, what he's saying is, the guy who directed it was the director of a movie which did very well 2 years ago, Crazy Rich Asians. But that guy ain't Latino.
Right.
He's Asian. But all right.
So the feel was. So my issue, or not issue, my concern was, could he capture the Latino, Hispanic, experience? Could he get the little details that make our culture different from other cultures, or at least, not different, because every culture has their differences, of course, but just makes it, our own, that we look at it and we know instantly when we see a certain scene or a certain thing, we know, yes, that's a Dominican, or that's a Puerto Rican, because of how we talk or how we move or how we interact with each other. And I have to say, this guy nailed it. He, in every capacity, he nailed it. So within the first couple of minutes, he got the food down, he got the dancing down, he got the rhythm of how Dominicans speak down.
Right.
So I was surprised within the first 10 minutes. I was trying to see little things, and he was nailing every little thing. Obviously he was focused on it, he was concerned about it, and he was thinking about it, and he nailed it in every capacity. Well, now, a friend of mine, by the way,
too, right?
Yes, a friend of mine said that they went to a director's kind of Q&A that they had with him, and and that was brought up in the Q&A, and he literally said, "I understand the concerns. I grew up in a community in California," because he's from LA, I believe. "I grew up in a community that it was full of Asians. So I understand how important that is." So because of that, he delved into it and he really focused on it, and he wanted to get Lin-Manuel's perspective and people of the culture to give him input. And that's why he hit a lot of, great songs that hit the mark, and he hit the food, and he hit the dancing, and he hit, certain celebrities that people would know in our culture, and he hit it perfectly. So I have nothing to say negative about that. He nailed it, basically.
All right, well, that's great. We know that one of our biggest concerns is getting it right. We know that one of our biggest concerns is, how we are represented within the sections or the realizations of what we are as a community. We know that there is a lot of stuff that people get wrong. For example, I'm going to walk right into this, which is really interesting. There is a production, a Broadway show, a musical called West Side Story.
Right.
And we've grown up with West Side Story, and it's about the Puerto Ricans and the Irish and Italians
The Jets and the Sharks.
In what is it's a Romeo and Juliet story in what is Spanish Harlem, right?
Right.
Spanish Harlem
Right.
was farther down, but you know, and what people did and how they reacted to these particular situations. So I'm looking at the NBA scores actually, guys. So.
Right. and I'm looking at something that popped up about a critique about Lin-Manuel about this movie that just literally popped up. So go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
So you know we're always paying attention, folks.
We're always on the news,
Always
cutting
on the
edge.
news.
We should get like
We do this for
a breaking news banners when we do this show. Dun, dun, dun.
We do this for you, folks. So Rita Moreno, who's putting
Yes.
out has a documentary coming out called "That Girl That Did Some Stuff with Things." I don't know. It's like really horrible. As a matter of fact, I gotta read the name of this documentary. And Rita Moreno is an integral part of the Latin community in the United States. She was won an EGOT, and if you know what an EGOT
Right.
is,
That's
right?
big stuff.
Yeah, because she was in the Electric Company.
Right. One of the greatest shows of all time.
Of all time. Exactly. Just a Girl Who Decided to Go For It is the name of the documentary. What a shitty name for a documentary. I love Rita Moreno, but somebody should have told her, listen, let's come up with a better name for this garbage. And it's a story of her life, and it's really interesting. She's 70 years old, and she's been everywhere, right? Rita Moreno, right? So
Yeah.
she was an integral part of West Side Story, and the ongoing thing is for a long time, she couldn't get a job because she started very young in the Hollywood system. This is back in the 50s and 60s, where she was considered an island girl.
Right.
And she had to do like various, accents, and every accent she did ended up being Puerto Rican, which I thought was hilarious. But I don't know.
Who knew?
Exactly. But what's really interesting about Rita Moreno is so much is the fact that she was part of West Side Story, and when she came to West Side Story, they gave everyone who was Latino this weird coloring, this kind of orange coloring to fit the idea of the show. And if you ever seen West Side Story, you know exactly what we're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you ask, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, all these Latin cultures, we have a lot of different colors.
A lot of ranges on the
a
spectrum,
lot of range, right? Jason and I are cousins, but you can see my coloring, which is now burned by the sun.
Right, because he is in the clouds, so he gets an intense heat.
Really close to the lots of heat. We have a very specific, we have different colorizations and different colors. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine this weekend about how, in my family we have people who are black. And,
right.
And we talked about this before. We have people who are black and we have people who are white. They pass for white.
Right.
And it all depends, like, where we are and what we do and where we come from. And it doesn't matter. Like, my mom and dad created, put out me, my sister, who's kind of like in the middle, and my brother, who's one of the whitest people I know.
Right.
This is not a joke, folks. He's very white-skinned. It's just what he is. No issue with that. I love the man. But that's the ongoing thing, is how interesting that is. And the fact that she was painted this orange color made her go like, what are you people doing? At one point, she asked the makeup person, it was like, why are you painting me orange? What is up with this color? And the makeup person said to her, what are you, racist? Which I thought was really funny. coming from Rita Moreno. So that's the thing that's like the ongoing thing. But what's really interesting is, like you said, like Rita Moreno had this expanded, and West Side Story is this thing. And West Side Story is a classic and a masterpiece. I'm not putting it down.
Right.
It's really amazing, and it's really, really hits the nail on the head. And we know that Steven Spielberg is doing a remake of it.
Right.
I don't know why, but it's happening. But it's really great that you like, and you said you liked it. You felt that it was the movie that you saw was completely perfect, and there was no issue. And
no, I didn't say that. I just said the director did a great job.
There's stuff, folks.
I'm looking at it through the director's lens, which he did a great job, and then there's the movie lens. And the movie lens, my problem with this movie is that each character is very distinct, right? We know these characters because we have people in our family that are these people. You know what I'm trying to say? The dreamer, the person who left to go to college for the first time, the person who started a small business and then had to sell it because, they want their kids to succeed. So they're giving their kids more out of life. That's not giving it away. That's part of the trailer. But that's, those are characters that we've seen in our lives and we've experienced and we lived through. So because of that, the director hit those nails on the head. Those characters were good. They were on point. They were good good directing and when it comes to it. But
Yes.
because the movie is so centralized to Washington Heights, you have to give me Washington Heights. You can't give me the great parts of Washington Heights where people are like hanging out, playing dominoes, and just chilling on the stoop and laughing and joking about each other and having fun. That's great. But if that was the case, nobody would want to leave Washington Heights.
Right.
The reality is that there are certain circumstances in Washington Heights that make it very difficult to live in. Just to name a few, there's so many people in that community. It's just so overcrowded. You can't you can't like sneeze without somebody knowing you have a cold. It's there is a crime element to Washington Heights. I'm just saying there is, an underbelly of Washington Heights when it comes to certain things that make it not a desirable place to live. Mm-hmm. So we have to understand that. And that wasn't really talked about much in this movie at all. So you can't. Now, that being said, and the only reason I bring that up is because if you take away the music, because it's a musical, right? If you take away the music, because it's a musical, and you compare it to a movie that tried to use the city as a background, I kind of go back to Do the Right Thing, right? Because it was so Brooklyn, it was so, cultures colliding and clashes of different people and how they interacted. So if you take the music away, I'm going to combine it to both. Do the Right Thing had a natural progression. You knew it was going to hit something at one point, and Do the Right Thing, it was, a race riot basically, and riots with cops and stuff. That was the thing that hit it. This movie didn't have that. It was just telling stories, and it hoped that you continue with that journey with these characters without giving away, and never had that conclusion where they all come together for a reason. And because of that, I was kind of like, yeah, I like the characters, I like the music, I like the directing, but if you want me to make this like a movie that transcends, if you want to say it that way, you have to give me something that brings them all together, and it just didn't have it. And I wish that it did, because there's certain elements that they could have tackled in certain ways that they did it, and I think it could have really like made it a special movie instead of just a good movie.
Okay, but that the musical is basically an aspiration of Washington Heights.
I agree. No, I know.
I'm trying to make it into.
I get it. I get it. So because of that, I can't knock it. Because of that, I can't knock it,
right.
Because of it followed the musical, which was at least 10 years, 15 years old now. So, and plus we're in a different world, 10 years ago than we were now. So I'm looking at it through the lens of what we are now. It's a certain point.
It's 2008, I think. So it's about 13
right.
Years. Okay, so listen, that's a great critique, and it's a great understanding of what we're talking about. And it's also, we're talking about the fact that we are looking at it from the point of view of where we live, what we live, and how we live, right? So having these things, be part of that ideal would have been great. I don't know if Lin-Manuel would have liked that, because
I understand. I agree. That's not his
Hamilton,
thing, right?
Brings up Hamilton's like, that guy was black, and you're like, what?
Right.
So it's that kind of a thing where that's interesting. It's an interesting take on something. Specifically, I kind of feel like it does bring people into an understanding, even though it's candy coded in a way. It does bring people to an understanding that these people have aspirations.
Right, which is true, which I agree totally with. Like that guy or that woman driving by, trying to get home before dinner time ends. Right.
Better than the guy who runs back and forth just making noise in the middle of the day. That was great. Like, I'm on a call, and like, what are you doing? But yeah, that's the aspiration. And by the way, Do the Right Thing. Great point. If anybody out there has not seen Do the Right Thing, do treat yourself. It is one of the best movies from the 90s ever made.
Yeah,
it's just so good.
I agree.
And
and it hit every mark. Hit every
single mark, and it still has teeth today, as we know from all the fires last year.
You could watch that movie today, and this is what I mean about In the Heights. You could watch that movie today, meaning Do the Right Thing, and it still holds up because society is still changing on many issues. But that movie was hitting so many issues that that ending scene that brought it all together just still holds up today. And I wish In the Heights had that to kind of like smack people in the face to kind of say, we are all these people, but and have that scene that we can all remember. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Besides the music and that's the only critique. Besides that, I love the movie and I would want people to watch it. But it's just that. You know what I'm trying to say? Is that element.
He wants more meat. He wants more
Yeah.
meat, and he wants the experience to be total.
I'm at a point in my life where I want. I don't
me.
want the slice anymore. You're right.
Oh,
I
give it
want.
to me. Give it to me.
I
Give me
want the whole
dirty pie.
shebang.
That's
what I want now.
Put in the olives.
Right.
From and that's great. I think that's a great critique and it's very interesting and people should check it out. It's on HBO Max.
Max, yes.
Or you can go to the theater and see it. I mean, why?
That being said, before because the whole thing about Rita Muro, from what I saw in the Daily Beast was some people were critiquing Manuel because there wasn't any Afro Latinos in it. So there was one person who was
Lynn.
who was basically the guy from The Walking Dead. Remember there was like I forgot his name in The Walking Dead, but he's in this movie and he's not, Latino, Hispanic in any capacity. So they're saying why not put an Afro Latino in that role, or at least other people in that role.
You know what?
Or other people. So
I think.
And he said he understands the critique. He's listening, and he's gonna reevaluate for the future and why they did it that way and change in the future. So
first
we'll
of all,
see what he does.
I mean, okay.
That's what he said. I'm going by what he's saying.
What? First of all, okay, we get it, but Hamilton has black people everywhere.
That's why I can't kill the guy.
Afro Latinos and all kinds of shit. So
Right.
casting coming from and Lin-Manuel didn't do all the casting. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
the realization is that these people, they gotta put a movie on.
Right.
Kids got to put a show on. Alfalfa put on this dress.
Right.
So you're gonna have that little Rascals reference. You're gonna have that thing where that happens, and the understanding is that we need to make sure that representation is important now. And like I said before, like we've noticed that there's representation happening across the board. Like,
Right.
can this superhero be brown?
Right.
Can this superhero be black? The things we're seeing being done to movies and stuff is very interesting. There's a rumor going around that made me a little angry this week. A couple things are happening out there, folks, just so you know. Black Panther 2, Electric Boogaloo, is coming. And Namor, the Submariner, if you're a big Namor fan, supposedly
Right.
is going to be introduced in that movie. And he's being played by a Mexican actor. And at first you're saying, what? Who cares? It's fucking Namor, the Submariner. What color is he? He's orange. Who could,
Right.
Everybody in where he's from, in the Atlantis of the Marvel Universe, is blue. So
Right. And by the way, before you move on, didn't they mention him very slightly in Endgame at the end when they were like seeing tremors? Remember that scene?
Yeah,
that was
the thing. There was like a tremor and blah blah blah. What do we do with that?
Right.
It's a volcano. Who knows?
Right.
That's it. That's right. And that's where that's going supposedly. But another thing that we should realize is the rumor, but that's not the big rumor because that's been announced. The rumor of the Black Panther is that supposedly Storm from the X-Men is supposed to show up there.
Really?
But she's being cast by a Latina actress, which would be the biggest mistake the MCU has ever fucking made.
Why do you say that? Expand on this. Break it down.
Very bad.
Break it down. Why you say this?
Well, you know why. Aurora is one of the strongest black characters in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah,
right. She's the goddess. She has all this power. And then you bring her to the big screen and co-opt her as a Latina. That's a listen. I get it, but
an Afro Latina? Are they gonna go that route?
No, not even. Supposedly not even Afro Latina. Which I might understand, but I'd still be pissed off. And you might say, wait a minute, everybody in it's Wakanda's movie. There's a lot of black people in Wakanda. Not the point. It's not the point.
Right.
When I go buy ravioli, the Chef Boyardee ravioli in a can, and I open it, the little size, lunch size, and I open it and I pour it into the thing, it better be ravioli, not beefaroni. Because holy shit,
I'm just saying.
Right?
I hear you.
And you could say, well, these are white people. No. You know why?
Right.
Because it doesn't matter so much. Because you guys got white people have a lot of superheroes. And if you co-op one or two to a different color or whatever, it doesn't make much. Like making She-Hulk Latina, Jen Walters is going to be played by a Latina in the She-Hulk TV show. You know why it doesn't matter? Because she looks white.
Right.
She does.
And she's a Hulk. And she's a Hulk. Let's
And
be
she's gonna
clear.
be Green anyway.
Right. Right. Right.
But the real story this week is that Jason
Yes.
finally got around to watching the first 6 episodes of Ted Lasso. If
Yes.
you haven't seen Ted Lasso, it's on Apple TV. It's about why don't you tell us what it's about, Jason?
It's a very heartwarming tale of a man from Middle America who travels across the pond to England to coach a soccer team, but not because he's going to do well.
What
because
team?
A football team.
Oh.
Sorry, a football team. Got to be straight about that, and not because the owner thought that this person was going to do well. The owner actually wanted him to lose, wanted him to fail, and now we're seeing that this lovely individual has a lot of character and a lot to give than just wins and losses. That's basically where I'm at this point of the, in the movie.
So Ted, he's watched the first 6 episodes. Ted Lasso is a 10-episode show on Apple Plus.
Right. And the reason why I didn't watch all 10 is because I didn't want to rush this. This wasn't one of those you just want to get through. It's so many cool. He's right. There's so many cool episodes and so many cool like interactions that you kind of want to just enjoy it and take your time and then come back to it later and and enjoy watching those scenes basically.
The show is called Ted Lasso, and what's his name? Jason Sudeikis plays Ted.
Yes.
As a Kentucky native who has won a second-tier football, brought his second-tier football team all the way to had a terrible program, all the way to win on their first season with him, and he gets brought in, and his sidekick or his secondary coach is a guy named Coach Beard.
Right.
Coach Beard is awesome. He is awesome. And Ted has to deal with like a couple different people. He has to deal with Jamie Tart.
Yeah.
And my favorite character on the show, Roy.
Yeah.
Roy is fantastic. Roy Trent. I'm sorry, not Roy Trent. Trent is the other guy.
Yeah.
Roy Kent. Lots of T's and K's in this thing. So he's only watched the first 6 episodes. What do you think of these of Ted and his cookie making ability?
Right. Let's put it this way. What makes him intriguing and what makes him lovable has nothing to do with football. It has nothing to do with the X and O's. It has to do with this man going through a journey. You could call it a midlife crisis. You could call it, trying to figure out where he is at this point, whatever you want to call it. But he's trying to reinvent himself while he's trying to understand who he is as a person. And it's very interesting to see, how he navigates this world, that's totally foreign to him, but how he's still thinking of home and his family life and what that can lead or not lead to at this point. And it's an interesting story because of that, because you're not worried if he wins or loses. I kind of don't care what the soccer team does. I care about how he's going to navigate this and just succeed as a person at this point, because you want to root for this guy. And you don't have many shows where you want to root for people anymore. You just, they get shot by the 9th episode. You know what I'm trying to say? And because of that, you just
Ted Lasso is not Walking Dead. Let's just make sure we understand.
So because of that, you just watch all 10 episodes in one day and you move on. But because this character has so many facets to it and he's such a likable guy, you want him to succeed, that you want each episode to have its own place before you move on to the next ones. And I enjoy that aspect of it so far.
And just so you know, like also in my point of view, all the characters that are interplay in the show are interesting.
Yes.
From like I said, Jamie Tart, Keeley, the owner of the team, her husband. All these people are interesting. They have teeth and they have weight, and when they appear, there's a reason for it. So we could talk about it all we want. At the end of the day, I'm glad you saw it. I know you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, because I got 4 more to go.
Fan, but also,
we can break it down.
Yeah, breaking it down.
We're at the midway point.
But it gives you like this stuff, like giving Trent that book.
Yes.
Making him read it.
And A Wrinkle in Time, right?
I'm sorry,
Right.
Roy Kent. Giving Roy that book and making him read it in real time. He's like, am I the, wait a minute, am I the little girl in this? He's like, yes, you are. Fuck!
Right.
And the fact is, they use fruity language pretty well on that show.
Yes.
So,
Right.
if you haven't seen it, check it out. Ted Lasso is we're getting it a stamp of approval. Bam.
Right. Right.
In the Heights gets a stamp of approval too. Bam.
Yes.
And
And wait a minute, we got
Uh-oh.
one more. Did you see
What?
Loki? Did you see Loki?
boy, did I see Loki. What did you think of Loki?
First of all, how many episodes is in the series? 6 episodes?
I think it's 8 episodes.
8. Okay. Yeah. If it's because I heard it was 6. If it's
good.
6, they better start killing people now. I want
They
something
killed
to
people
blow
in the
up.
First episode.
Yeah, I want something to blow up. I want now. It's been almost a week, so I'm not giving it anything away. I thought the scene when he got the Tesseract, and he basically saw the world, like that giant computer that was kind of like running things with the like 3-4 people, and he kind of realized, holy crap, like this is what power is. This is what infinite power is. What am I doing? Like he kind of like that moment, he kind of explored himself for that split second and said, this is it. This is what I'm fighting for. This is what I'm doing all this crazy stuff for. What's the point of it if this is power?
You know, he asked him those questions. Then what?
I know.
Blah, blah, blah. Then what? It's like,
right.
Then what? Then you have all that. Then what? It's like.
But that scene captured it. All those questions led up to that scene, but that scene hit the mark. Because think about it, it's like Oz. Like you pull the veil over Oz, and you see what the Wizard of Oz really was. And he saw it, and he was like, I'm not impressed. Do I need this really? Do I want this? What is the point of it? So that was cool to me.
Decide who's the villain in it. You know,
right?
Is he chasing? Right. Supposedly, a lot of people have been thinking that maybe he's chasing himself.
Yes.
But it's funny that there's a lot of different. So Loki is kind of like this character that's been and the giveaway with his mom.
Right? Who knew?
Yeah,
right.
It redeems. It's so. Just to quickly talk about the Thor shows. There's some Thor news as well, but we'll talk about Loki and more. The Thor movies, right? So the Thor movies had the first movie, which is like milk toasted. There was no teeth to it. It was just like introducing Thor. Come in, Thor. Thank you, Thor. Oh, that's a great cake. Right. Okay. They put in the Destroyer, one of my favorite characters of all time in the Marvel Universe, because he's a mindless walking magic automaton that fights Thor to a standstill, and he fights Thor, and then everything's fine. Everybody's fine. Which was garbage, really.
Right.
Then they introduced this Thor: The Dark World, and they upped the ante, but nobody cares because the movie was basically boring. But the thing about the movie that was interesting is that it put down this like base, right? Whether you like it or not, it gave you one of the first Infinity Stones. It gave you one of the first understanding of what this is. It gave you one of the first, you know what I mean? So it was that understanding of the base of what was going on, right? And then Thor, the last Thor movie, which was hands down maybe one of the best of the last 6 Marvel movies, besides Infinity War and Endgame. It's just really that good.
Yeah.
So in those things, Loki's kind of meanders through them. He doesn't really have a real purpose other than being an asshole, right?
Right.
God of mischief. Right?
And that's needed in movies. We need assholes in movies. Let's be honest. We need.
He was best used in the last Thor movie, and then of course he meets his end. And if you haven't seen fucking Thor, the last Thor movie, come on.
Right. Right. We're not giving anything away, you guys.
Yeah, come on, people. Give us the program.
We're already in phase 2 of the whole Marvel world. We're done with that phase.
I think it was the last movie before the Endgame chapter started because Rabbit. He had to go get Rabbit.
Right.
But so that was what was it called? Not Love.
Which
Love
one?
Thunder's a new one. What is it called?
The one with the Hulk.
Yeah, the one with the Hulk. That's it. That's the name of it.
That's how I know these movies. I'm gonna start remembering names and everything. Come on, I don't have time for that. It's too much work at this point.
Thor, the one with the Hulk. Thor Ragnarok. Sorry.
Ragnarok. I'm supposed to remember that
How could I
Ragnarok.
forget that?
I thought it was Fraggle Rock. I thought it was the
Fraggle
Fraggle
Rock.
Rock.
Thor Fraggle Rock. Down on Fraggle Rock. And this week they've already released what the armor, Thor's armor, and what Lady Thor's armor is going to be like, and also, what's her name's Valkyrie's armor, and it's released in the Thor movie, and I think it just finished filming, so we should be getting a trailer soon, and I'm very excited to see the trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Right.
So Loki, going back to Loki kind of realizes that maybe how he believes things and stuff is a little strange. And I kind of think they also kind of made a point of the idea of variance.
Yeah.
Of various people broken through time, that there's more than one Loki out there.
Gotcha. That's possible. I can see that.
And the idea of this giant bureaucracy that's supposed to take care of time is kind of funny.
Yeah.
The TVA, the Time Variance Authority.
Right.
And it makes you, it's like going to the DMV. They killed that guy and he was like talking shit about not having a ticket, and then looked like,
yeah. Right. Right.
And all that stuff. And of course, the guy who's with him in that Loki cast. I'm getting this wrong. Not Tom Hiddleston, but Owen Wilson.
Yes, Owen Wilson. Yeah.
Absolutely.
He always plays a straight guy well, though. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, he's never going to be the leading guy. He's going to be that guy who's a great kind of number two, and you can count on him to do those roles.
The great voice actress Tara Strong. Which has been in many.
My Little Pony. My Little Pony
plays the character Miss Minutes, who gives you the lowdown on what the TVA is. So this is great. The next episode is tomorrow. I'm going to get up early in the morning to watch it because fuck you.
He likes to watch it before people start spoiling things.
Yeah, man, you can't fuck it up. You wake up and you're like, oh, this. With WandaVision, I missed one episode. I watched it later, and it was spoiled before I even turned the TV on, man. I don't say shit about shows. I give it a week. I give it at least until the weekend, or give it a week.
Right.
It's like, God damn.
Well, the only reason why I said as much as In the Heights is because people are talking about this like it's, the best movie in the last 10 years. So I had to break it down and let people know what they're getting into. You know what I'm trying to say? Because I'm like, all right, let's calm down here. It's a nice movie.
It's a nice movie.
I enjoyed it, but come on.
Meow.
Will I be quoting lines from this movie? I seriously doubt it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Sing any lines from that.
Right.
I don't know. So there's that, and it's interesting because you have to like decide what it is that you have to. I mean, I'm looking forward to the next episode, and I'm looking forward to. I'm liking the fact that Loki's realized there's always something greater than him.
Right.
If it isn't Thanos, it's somebody else.
Right.
And we kind of have this underlying feeling that maybe we'll get more Loki, and I'm hoping that we will. I really don't want him to not to be in the Marvel universe, even though they killed him. They killed the fuck out of that guy.
But if he does something interesting in this movie, somehow I'm sure they can bring him back in an alternate, universe, or
Well,
if you believe in string theory, we're never really dead. We just kind of evolve into different.
5 more episodes. There's an actually understanding here that I think is very interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine, who and I are speaking about the esotericness, of man within the auspices of the thing of the universe, and how we work
sounds
time,
deep.
What God
that was
is.
A deep conversation.
Yeah, what God is and who we are in comparison to God, and how.
If I think, therefore I am, type of thing.
Well, there's that. There's, if this all there is there nothing more? That kind of idea, and what we are within the arc of time and space, and how we are to see ourselves in it, right? So we are conscious. So we are conscious, and we're moving through time, and talking to people, understanding what these things are, and like the idea of an electron.
Yeah.
Think of God as a piece of the universe, every piece of the universe at all times, in all times and all spaces. So an electron that is is not moving, but is appearing everywhere at once in every single piece of everything, always. No matter throughout
Right.
time and space. So electronic can be in every space it's supposed to be at all the time, always. That's God. And if you think to yourself and say, "Holy shit," well, that's what it is. Holy shit.
He just blew his mind.
I mean, I'm definitely explaining it wrong. And then I talked to my therapist about shit, and he was kind of like, we live in the present at all. We're constantly in the present, right? And
Yes.
we have our minds doing all kinds of mental gymnastics in the present. But the understanding is this: there's a concept of something called the swan, and the swan, right, in the Eastern philosophy, is this animal that is always in the water but never wet. And if you
Interesting.
think about it, and I even talked to him about it, I said, look, the swan is also you're looking at the swan from three different spaces, right? It's above,
Yeah.
right, which is you could say is the future. Where it contacts with the water is the present, and
Present.
below it is the
It's
past.
just
So it's actually moving through time in all three sections of time.
right.
And if that doesn't fucking blow your mind, I don't know what does. 'Cause holy shit, I was like,
No, I
um,
was I would onto that note, since we're getting deep into philosophy. I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson,
oh,
his podcast, and they were talking about um, what what people are leaving from what they were talking about, religion, right? So they're filling that part of their lives not with science but with conspiracy theories,
right.
right? So what he said was, which is sad, because there's so many different facets to our lives. Why, waste it on like conspiracy theories? Because when you think about it, our lives are so interesting, is that we're born, we live, and then we die. And
Mm-hmm.
even when we die, it's special because we're the only ones that can experience that. Like,
Right.
we as human beings, you know, understand we have a beginning, middle, and end, and we know the end is coming. We're not just like living to procreate, which we kind of are, but we're not just doing that. We're part of a society or part of a structure. But at the end of it, we're doing something that we understand is coming, and it's beautiful if you look at it that way, instead of trying to wrap your head around these conspiracy theories to try to justify things.
Well,
You know
well,
what I'm
well.
saying?
We're living in a time and place that it's getting beyond us.
Right.
Technology is going to a place that is making us seem immaterial, and the realization is we always were.
Right. Right.
We are
We
we
didn't want.
are
We
we
didn't.
are
I agree
here
with you.
for a set amount of time, less
Right.
than 100 years for the most of us. And if you think about it, if you were to walk through that time, um, in that space and that realization, we're here for a finite amount. And to lose ourselves, like you said, lose ourselves in something other than the present moment. You can plan for the future, but don't live in the future. That's
Right.
anxiety. You can plan. You can understand the past, but don't live in the past. That's
Right.
flogging yourself basically, because
Right.
all you're gonna do is keep thinking about the stuff. It's what's it called when you constantly think about things? You're constantly thinking
You,
about those things as negative. It's rumination, and
right.
rumination is a waste of your time because you're not in the present, living through this moment right now. As you and I are talking, we are connected in this moment, and we're
Right.
talking through this moment, and we're feeling things in this moment. And if we push those feelings and emotions away, and we're not willing to take them in and feel them for what they are, we are doing ourselves a disservice.
Yep.
And
I
we're
agree.
taught not to do that.
Right.
Specifically as men. Men are taught not to feel feelings, not to be in part of that emotional experience, because somehow that makes us less. And actually, no, being part of the emotional experience creates a connection to this moment, and
I
therefore it's
agree.
important for us to feel those things.
Right.
So when you're playing with your kids, play the fuck out of your kids playing with your kids, because that's the moment you have with them at that time. If you're driving your car, think about where you are. I mean, I know that's car driving, whatever, but there's beauty in everything, man. And
Right.
you like I spent my weekend driving, unfortunately. And you can say, wow, what a beautiful sunset. Oh, look at that. And you're able to encompass yourself within the auspices of that moment, at that time, and that presence. Be present. You're losing yourself if you don't.
And be aware when you meet people. Like, I think we just kind of look at it as an interaction. Hey, I meet you and you gave me this food and whatever I went to eat. Like, I've come to understand throughout my life that every interaction, no matter how big or small, is precious based on what you're experiencing at that moment in time. There's a reason why you met that person. I truly believe that. Whether it's good or bad, there's a reason. You know what I'm trying to say? There's something, there's a connection that you have that's going to be part of you 20 years from now, even if you never see this person again. So I think we need to, as a society, understand that these connections are important. Why we just can't flip out and be upset because,
Well,
you're a certain,
yeah, it's like
you like a certain political party or whatever. Like, it's like, come on, guys,
look,
let's get over that.
we can drown ourselves in what makes us different,
Right.
and always be like, well, this person's blah, or this person's blah, or this person's the other thing, or we can try to coalesce around what makes us a unified human force.
Yes.
You know, we're both standing in this place right now, breathing the same air, eating the same food, or whatever, having a beer together, whatever. All those things are important because they are what's happening right now. And if
Right.
we break that into some kind of arc of, political understanding or whatever, we lose what it is about what makes us, it makes this experience intrinsically beautiful. And that's the thing, to your point, yeah. There's something that said about eating food, like when you eat something, enjoy it for what it is.
Right.
Savor the taste because you may never eat it again. You never know. This could be
Yeah.
your last bowl of Chef Boyardee raviolis.
Thank goodness for Chef Boyardee.
It could be your last. It could be your last freaking mac and cheese. It could be your last
Right.
hot dog. It could be your last anything. Savor it. It's not. It's wow. Say, hey, is this a good hot or good or bad? Like
Right.
speak to that because that's what it is about the human experience that makes everything so wonderful. The reason why I bring this up, by the way, this is another thing that's really funny. The reason why
It's
I
all
say
connected,
there is-
folks. Just like
it's
this,
not-
just like the universe, we're all connected.
We're connected by experience, right?
Yes.
We were talking about going to California. No, but the realization is that we're connected by experience, and we were talking about like different things that we were going to do during the summer, and like I haven't been to the Guggenheim Museum yet. And I really want to go.
Right.
I know a lot of people who have been there, and now that I can go and I walk those that area or whatever, and I can speak to this exhibit, that exhibit, the other exhibit, this painting or that painting, this sculpture or that sculpture. Because of a shared experience, we can have that. We can have those times where we can talk about stuff, or museum
Right.
of natural history, or a walk through Central Park, or having tacos at the taquiteria in Chelsea Market, right?
Yes.
So we could have those things as cultural segments. But the reason why I'm saying this is because there's something called in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the character of V'ger.
V'ger? Yes, we're going to V'ger times.
Space probe that comes back to Earth because he found some species that put them together and then send them back. And V'ger is seeking his creator because he wants to know, is that all there is? Is there nothing more? Which I think is
Right.
an incredible extension of human understanding. Right?
Right.
Is this all we have? Is this it? Is there nothing more? And I thought that was really fucking cool. And I've always been kind of playing with that, and trying to come to terms with that. And I think it's great because yes, this is all there is, and yes, there is more, but it's part of what it is.
Right.
So the experience is actually the thing you're looking for. The thing you're losing it in the pudding because you're trapped in this idea of, well, is this it? Yeah, this is it.
Right.
There's nothing
So
more.
enjoy it.
It's right here.
Right.
All right.
So Final Frontier did nothing for you then. If you got it, because it kind of like came full circle with Final Frontier with V'ger, and then
No,
they went
no,
past
it didn't.
space time
Final
and ran into
Frontier? You mean like, Star Trek 5?
yeah. I just keep
Excuse me. What is God? You can start.
right, exactly.
They keep talking about how there wasn't a whole lot of money. I'm like, it wasn't about that. It was a bad script. There wasn't a whole lot of good script there.
They broke the barrier.
They had a barrier in Star Trek. They brought that idea back. I thought that was kind of cool. But no, Um, there's all kinds of problems with that movie. Anyway, on to COVID. You know that that's really funny. It's really interesting that that last 2 weeks ago they were talking about, oh, the place in China made the COVID bacteria, and you know, Biden let the dogs loose in the CIA to get more information, and all of a sudden,
Right.
right? You know what happened? The right wing conspiracy machine shut the fuck up, right? Like Biden's like, okay, let's find out what's going on, and everybody's like, like they don't have ammunition, so
Right,
they're like,
right.
stop talking about it. I haven't seen anything about the lab experiments and shit. What I have seen is that we're starting to hit the 70%
Mark
threshold. A couple of
of
states,
vaccinations. Right,
Vermont is the first state that hit it.
right.
Like supposedly, California is not too far behind. New York is getting there, so we are hitting these particular plateaus of vaccinations, except for a couple of states run by certain asshole governors. And and you were talking about this podcast that you listened to. Was it the Dark Horse
Yeah, yeah.
podcast?
Brett Weinstein.
Folks, the Dark Horse podcast with Brett Weinstein and his wife, constantly pushing
They're always pushing the goalposts.
pushing
Always.
it, man. They're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. They are independents
Right.
with no political agenda whatsoever.
Right.
And this week they were like they were talking.
Did you hear? Did you hear a little bit?
I did not because I
So
tend,
the crux
I
of
tend to
it.
avoid it. I'm not gonna lie.
I know you do. That's why I keep sending stuff to him, because he brought two other. It was just him and two other scientists that have been dealing with COVID and studying COVID, and what they're saying about the vaccine, right? Um, they're saying that we've been lied to with this vaccine to a certain point, because unlike past vaccines, and we kind of mentioned, we talked about this briefly, when it gets into your arm, the vaccine would stay there. Let's say it's polio. In theory, it would stay within the arm and the body would come to it and attack it, basically. And it would learn from what it's attacking and stop the process, so you don't get this, disease or virus again. And this, when it goes into the arm, they're saying it goes throughout the whole body, because it's searching for cells so that it can infect, so that it can tell it what to do, and then that's how it's learned. So because it's searching, it's going throughout your whole body, it can cause different problems within people, and that's why we have, let's say, heart inflammation, or some people are having different respiratory issues, or whatever the situation, because of that. And they're saying that we've to a certain point been lied to, because these are bigger issues, and people are having bigger problems than we're being led to believe. So that was the crust of what they were trying to say, which I found different, because I didn't know that this thing went throughout our whole body. I still think we should get it. I'm not turning and say, oh my god, I got it and it's a problem, but it is something to think about when you start thinking about the difference between this virus and I'm sorry, this vaccine compared to others, because we are kind of guinea pigs in this sense, in that we're doing this mass vaccination in a very quick scale, and our bodies could react in certain ways. So it's just interesting to hear these three scientists talk in that fashion. Now, what's your critique on that?
I don't have a critique on the idea of these viruses maybe causing some interesting side effects. I agree that might be the case with certain tons of vaccines do it. It's not just these particular vaccines. Some of these are very different, and they're not traditional.
Right.
Some of these vaccines are based on an RNA agent that will then act differently, like you said. Some of them don't do that, and the Miravax vaccine, which came out today, or came out this week, is 100% effective against COVID-19.
Right.
And it's only one shot. So, I think that as a reasonable human being, this is not me casting a shade or anything on anyone. I'm not speaking to anyone who do not believe in this or whatever and calling them unreasonable, but they are. But I'm going to get to that later. Let me just finish this point.
Right.
As a reasonable human being with an understanding that there is an existential threat to your life,
Right.
all right, and this existential threat can come in the wrapping of COVID-19, of the flu, depending on who you are and where you are in
Right.
your life, of anything like that particular diseases that are out there in the world. I would rather take my chances with a side effect than getting the actual virus that can kill me. So, as a reasonable person,
Right.
you can say that. I think it's important for us to start thinking about people who are not willing to vaccinate as unreasonable, and start to act accordingly.
Right.
I'm not saying put people in pens. I'm not saying whatever. I am saying that I have no problem with a vaccination passport because it lets you know, as a reasonable human being, that I'm a reasonable human being too that got vaccinated. But before you said freedom of speech, when it comes to the social construct of society, the
Right.
construct of people walking in society, you have a responsibility as a person within this society to stop acting like a fucking asshole and get yourself fucking shot.
Right.
That's
I
it. I don't, and I know there's arguments against it, and people thinking that it's like, oh well, I mean, who am I? Yeah, you know who you are. Person who should get fucking vaccinated. That's who you are. It's not about freedom of speech, man.
No, that's a bogus thing, right?
It's
That
bullshit. It's
right.
bullshit. It's like if it, the whole thing about what I don't like schools that let people know that, like, say to people, "Oh, you can let your kid who hasn't been vaccinated to whooping cough come into this." No, you can't come to school. Period. Like
Right.
it's a health issue. Your kid needs to get fucking vaccinated before he walks through the door. Oh, vaccinations cause autism. Prove it. I'll wait. I'm willing to wait. Give me
Right.
and all these doctors that have all this shit about autism and shit are full of shit. These things are not real. It's bullshit and it's garbage. It's garbage science. I'm sorry.
Right.
Actually, I'm not
I
sorry.
hear what you say. I hear what you say. Sorry,
I'm
but
not
not sorry
sorry.
you say.
Again, you and I, as reasonable, we live in the New York area. The New York area has always had this thing where you don't want your kids. It's like, hey, get your kids vac. Oh, you don't want your kids vaccinated? They can't come to school.
Right. Right. Right.
Homeschool that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it is. And no offense, I'm not calling anybody's kids bitches. I'm saying as the term bitch is used to be a general term. Uh, that's what I'm doing. But
Based on our earlier conversation,
homeschool
where
that bitch.
we should think of the moment and our bigger things bigger than ourselves. You're saying that people should take this shot because we're not just living the moment right now. We're living part of a structure, part of a society, part of a people, and to make sure that everyone can live as healthy as possible, we should all try sustain
We
a
could
little bit
let's
of kindness to get the shot to help people in that theory.
let's put it into the bigger picture. Let's say there's only 100 people in the world.
Yes.
It's 100 people on an ark in the world.
The zombie apocalypse has happened,
It's
and now there's only
happened.
100.
100 of us left.
Right.
And you know that a vaccination will stop you from becoming a zombie. Everybody on that fucking boat's getting the fucking vaccination. That's it. Oh,
Right.
you say, well, that's an extreme example. It's the fucking same idea. Forget
Right.
the extreme example. Oh, wait, I want to live, but I don't want to get vaccinated. Fuck you. That's how we ended up with the zombies in the first place. Get the fucking vaccination.
Right. Now, what do you think of the argument that says this thing seems to affect mostly people who have compromised immune systems or who are, let's say, overweight? So as long as you live a healthy life and you're exercising or just, in a normal shape, if you contract this virus, you'll probably just get it mildly and it won't really have that big of a deal on you. So why put something else into your body when you're in good health? Like if you're 25 years old in good
That
health,
argument
good
is
shape.
moot because a lot of people who've died in their 20s. So fuck you. And also, there's a lot of people out there who are in great fucking shape. This is a guy who was a weightlifter, great shape, got the virus, lost 50 pounds, and now might have to have has a kidney issue. So
Right.
don't talk to me about. And by the way, there was a thing in the New York Times this week. I know the New York Times is a rag, of course. Why would they tell the truth? That broke down this whole thing about people who are having to deal with the side effects of having COVID.
Right.
Now, like it's not
Right.
even been a year, and people are like dealing with these side effects of liver damage, kidney damage, lung damage, because COVID is a motherfucker.
Right.
We've never seen anything like this.
That's the thing I don't understand, right? So if you're afraid of getting the vaccine because you're afraid of side effects, let's say 5, 10 years from now, right? Which is a conversation we could have. But the COVID is the same idea. If you contract COVID, just because you beat it, doesn't mean 5 years from now it hasn't affected your body in a sense that you can get some kind of kidney issue or problem. We don't know. So either way, we're guinea pigs. Either way. So to your point, why not take the vaccine to be a guinea pig where at least we know we have a shot of fighting this thing off? Because we don't know if we get COVID. I've heard this conversation say, "Oh, but I'm healthy," and I'm like, I get it, but just because you get COVID and you beat it doesn't mean 10 years from now we're not going to develop some kind of kidney issues that come from this. We don't know because this is unlike the flu, unlike unlike other viruses and diseases that we've had years to study. We've only had a year to study this thing. So we don't know what the main side effects are in any capacity. So that argument, your basic logic on, let's say, the flu compared to this, or getting chickenpox compared to this, are two totally different things. They're not the same.
Every disease is different. It affects the human body differently. Every human is different. Those diseases will affect you differently. Some people have had COVID more than once and they're fine.
Right.
It's just the way it's a lot of different factors, and factors are increasing. It's not just one thing, it's a couple things. Hey, I got COVID. Maybe the viral load wasn't that high.
Right.
We know somebody who's had it a few times, and the first time was okay.
No names.
They went to the fucking hospital. So I'm just saying.
Our ex-president got sent on Air Force One to the hospital because it was like gonna kill him. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you don't jump on Air Force One and go to the hospital unless something's going wrong. You know what I'm trying to say?
It was Marine One.
Marine One. Sorry.
And yeah, fuck that guy too, because he still got a vaccination and made it sound like it was no big
right.
deal.
Right.
The fact is that we were getting to see that. And by the way, I can't understand it.
Let's be honest. I understand the fear of the vaccine. I get it. Because I'm being honest. I get the fears of it because it's like a new vaccine. We're in this world where we were in lockdown. People are not in their right minds in a certain point. I get the fear, right? I truly understand. But the only thing I would say to either point is whether you get the vaccine or COVID, 10 years from now, either or, we're going to see if there's side effects or not, because I know I got COVID at one point, right? But how is that going to affect me 10 years from now? Who knows? Just because I don't know. It could affect my heart in 10 years and it could be led to that. We just don't know.
But I think you got lucky because your viral load wasn't that high.
Most likely,
has a lot to do with the viral load.
There's some truth to that. Maybe. And why do we know that? Because studies have said that depending on how much of it you have in your system affects it. Right.
By scientists.
Right.
Not by religious leaders, not by orange presidents,
now,
not by stupid motherfuckers. Science.
Let's go through all aspects of this. What do you think? This is another thing they said in the podcast that you not listen to. That they said that the reason why we have jumped to the conclusion that it wasn't man-made or come from a facility is because the groups that are creating these viruses, like Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer, want to make money off of this, and they know they have the technology to do it, so they're just trying to squash any kind of fear about it just so they can push a vaccine. And that's why we're getting this kind of like push of, oh, it's not man-made, who cares where it's coming from, let's just get the vaccine, get it into your arm, let's move on.
Conversely, let's look at it from the point of view of it. Let's say it was let's throw all caution to the wind, man.
Let's throw the money. This is the money argument.
Let's jump in. Let's jump in the deep end of the conspiracy theories, which at this point I was kind of like against it, but now I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know. Right. Unlike Donald Trump, I put my faith in our intelligence,
apparatuses.
And I don't think that they were told. But here's the thing. Don't go to if I was the president at the time and there was conspiracy theories about this coming to a lab, why wouldn't I go to the CIA and says, can we look it up? You guys do that shit. Let me know what's going on. Instead of saying it was made in a lab in China, and just rolling with it. You have the force of the intelligence apparatus of the United States at your disposal. You orange monkey. Why not ask them to look it up?
Right.
So let's jump in deeply into that.
But this isn't more of a conspiracy theory. This is more saying that money in our health system
No.
is not helping us in this case. It's designed to do a certain cause, and because of that, they're saying like, "Hey,
yeah.
I don't want to hear any other things. Let's just get shots in the arm because I want to make money."
I get that. Let's we'll touch on that. But let's start with this particular thing first. Oh. It escaped from a lab. It killed lots of people in China. It came over here. People are sick. People are dying. It's a problem. We need to we shut down our economy. It's doing all this stuff. Johnson, all these guys, Operation Warp Speed is building this stuff. They're saying, payday. I'm going to get paid because I'm making this thing and blah, blah, blah. Great. They learn from everything they make. Right?
Right.
So, yes, they can make a lot of money coming up with a solution to this particular problem. They can make a lot of money getting to the solution from this particular problem and using that information they've garnered to build other shit. Right. So when we talk about these particular vaccines, these ideas and thoughts and RNA and all that shit can be used to fucking fix cancer. And yes, all that does is make them more money. But the understanding is this, dude, to your point. The way we handle medical situations in this country, our medical programs are fucking broken. They're broken.
That's a fact, right?
And that is our main issue. Yes, of course, they're making money. Okay, I have a conversation with this guy on Facebook all the time about how they just want to make money. Okay, they want to make money. You're absolutely right. That's a lot of money being spent and given to these guys to come up with these vaccinations for people. Of course, 100%. I agree with you. And yet we need them.
Right.
Do we think that it was leaked out, that China made it and leaked it out so Johnson & Johnson can make $4 billion, $15 billion? I don't know. That's a long road. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't think they're saying that. I think they're saying that whatever happened in, whether it was leaked or not, the powers that be don't want to know the truth because they, it would affect how we get money and how money is distributed in the healthcare system. So they're trying to cover stuff up.
Though it doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't. Yeah. Money was going to be spent anyway. It doesn't matter.
Right? No, I agree. At this point, it has to be done.
What it may do is make us look at our medical anything that makes us fucking really evaluate how we deal with medical anything in this country, right? Is worthwhile.
Yeah.
Anytime we need to fucking investigate how we do business in the medical situation, how we have companies that are making money off of your misery, right? Anytime we come to terms with that or look at that and maybe even analyze, mental health versus physical health versus, geriatric health versus, youth health or any of that shit. Anytime we come to terms with that and figure that out, or chronic illness or any of that, it's a good thing because what it does is make people think about what's going on. Their insurance companies in general fucking suck.
Right. No, it's true.
There was an article just to give you an example that has nothing to do with the medical situation, but for example, companies take out insurance against being cyber attacked.
Right.
Makes sense. You're in business. You don't want to be cyber attacked, right?
Right.
You're going to pay premiums to make sure that you're not because you want these companies to come to your aid. If something happens, you lose millions of dollars, blah blah. At first, cyber attack insurance was costing the insurance companies 30 cents on the dollar. Okay, that seems still a little high.
Yeah.
Right. You have to figure out your premiums. You figure it out, whatever. 5 years ago, it went to 50 cents on the dollar. It's still breaking even, but that's insurance companies are there to make money, not to get sold.
Right, and that's the problem, really. But yes,
breaking even, all right, not so good. This year, the payouts to the what they were insurance company were pulling in is gone up to 75 cents on the dollar. Now you're not making money anymore.
Right.
Now money's coming in and it's going right out, and your operating expenses are the last 25%. And somebody said this on the fucking radio, which made me go, "Are you kidding me?" They said, if this continues, are you ready? If this continues, we're going to have to basically ask for the government for some kind of a bailout. And I said, fuck you. Because no insurance company should be asking for a bailout for fucking cyber attacks. That's ridiculous. There's no reason why that should happen. No one should go into their pockets. No taxpayer should go into their pockets and pay insurance companies, you lose. You're going to lose money.
Right.
You're going to fucking lose money. Suck a dick. That's what happens.
Right.
Put in things that put barriers in place like they should have done during the Donald Trump administration. Instead, Russia's a friend. Meh. Fuck that. And by the way, this weekend, Pompeo, that son of a bitch, was talking some shit about how, Biden isn't tough on Russia. Is he kidding me?
I know. I've heard this argument. I was like, we can't. Why are we having this discussion? I know we can't have this discussion and have a straight face. Like we just can't. We just can't. We just can't. I know. I've heard it a few times, not just from Pompeo. I've heard it a few times.
You know what it is, honestly, and this is true. It's all about Obama. Really.
Yeah.
If Obama hadn't been president, we wouldn't have had these problems. And maybe that's true. I think that if Obama was a president, maybe Trump wouldn't have.
If any other president would have, and this isn't a left or right thing, this is just facts. If any other president would have said what Trump said in Helsinki, with Vladimir Putin standing right next to him, the person would have got impeached the next day. Let's just be honest about that. Like you can't say stuff like that in the international stage with the Russian leader next to you, and there would have been hell out there. Like
I don't think
we all understand.
Look, the Republicans.
No, I'm just saying that. I'm saying that as a metaphor. You know what I mean? There would have been hell to hell at that point.
We know if it was Obama, definitely. But Obama would. Every time Obama was next to Putin, Obama was kind of like, "You feeling froggy? Jump." I used to love when they got together because Obama would stand there like, "Come on, bro, whatever, man. I'm right here. I have 6 inches on your ass. I will slap you. I will slap you in the face."
Right.
Trump was like, "Hey, my friend." I'm sorry. I know we shouldn't talk about he who should not be named, but then again, we should.
No. But in this case, and like I said, this isn't a left or right
Florida,
thing.
By the way, still hasn't left Florida.
But in this
what's
case,
going to happen if he leaves Florida.
The only reason why we're even talking about this is because in this case, when you're talking about, Biden not being strong enough on Russia, it's like after everything we've been through in the last 4 years, you can't even say that with a straight face. It's just not. It's comical. Let's be honest. Like you can say a lot of positive or negative things depending on what side of the aisle you're on when it comes to Trump. But being strong on Russia was never part of it in any capacity. Let's just come on, guys. Let's just not say that. So, and the Republicans know this, but it's a talking point, and they're trying to use it, and they're trying to find something, and this is what they're trying to find at this point.
I don't know. Not a Supreme Court, not a Democratic Supreme Court justice. That's definitely the case there. Yeah, McConnell said this week that he would, if a Supreme Court, if he had to replace a Supreme Court justice, if Biden had to, he would block it entirely.
Right.
To which I think this is ridiculous.
Right.
At this point, expand the court. Add 3 more justices. Seriously, McConnell is daring you to do it. You have 6 months.
It's in the Constitution. Like it's something
man.
He can't even say, which is great.
3 justices, whatever. Just expand it. Fuck them. And I think that it's right. They're right to do it because they don't. They're stacking the court against. Look, I'm gonna say some stuff here, and I don't want anybody to take it personally. And if you do, don't write to me because I don't care. The Supreme Court could be as big or as small as we like. It could be 3 justices. It could be fucking 17 justices. It doesn't matter.
Right.
The thing is, the Republicans know this as well, and they want to control the money. At the end of the day, the Supreme Court, and this is why it's the dark money. It's what it is about. It's not about abortion. It really isn't. Abortion is what they throw at the rubes. Do you understand what you are, rube? Your whole thing about killing babies, it's bullshit. They don't care. They get abortions too. They'll ship their kid, and they don't care about abortion, man. They don't give a fuck. It's all about the money. The money. To
The
stop the money.
money.
The money. To stop corporations from getting from impediment. To stop dark money from not getting in their hands. It's all about the money. The Koch brothers don't want you to fucking have more voting power, so they'll make sure that what's his name from West Virginia votes against
Mansion. Right.
And if you don't believe me, look it up. I mean, don't believe me. Don't believe
But
me.
even
I don't care.
but even if you agree with the abortion stance, let's say you don't believe in the whole money thing that you're saying. Let's just say that there's something called the Constitution, and if we're going to follow the Constitution, if a justice dies tomorrow and the president, whoever that is, Trump, Biden, George W. Bush, puts a nomination in, Congress's job to look at that and make a decision. That's it. So when McConnell says stuff like that, we're going against the Constitution is what we're doing.
But McConnell can use the procedures of the Senate to block whatever he wants.
I understand.
As in any way, shape, or form, as long as he has the power of the filibuster.
I understand. But I'm just saying, when we're going to get upset about certain things in the Constitution, we got to get upset about all of them. And this is one of those that we're just breaking a norm and we're making it seem like it's normal, and it's not normal to do that. It's just not.
You're absolutely
just
right.
Not.
Yep, you are absolutely right, sir. I'm with you.
And that's what gets me, is that we just, people just pick and choose what's important in the Constitution. It's like, it's a living, breathing document. In a sense, we can change it and amend it and stuff. But like, if we're gonna fight about certain things, we got to fight all of them. And this is one that it's like, you can't just not do a nomination because you just don't like it. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, but I believe in my majority rule. Look, man, right now we are in a situation where we have a minority.
Right.
The 60 vote majority to pass anything is ridiculous. We have a majority. We have the Democrats have a majority in Congress. If they wasn't for the filibuster rule and a 60 vote majority, they can that was put there by Harry Reid because he felt that he had to do something, and then they lost the majority, and it's been downhill ever since. If they get rid of the filibuster and get rid of that rule, the Democrats can pass whatever they want. And the unfortunate thing is that then if the Republicans gain the Senate, they can do the same. And they can block whatever they want to. But here's the thing: having that power for that little bit of time might be worth it.
Yeah,
it might be worth it.
Right.
I mean, Obamacare. How many times did they try to repeal it? Even when they were in power, they couldn't get it done. You know why? Because once you pass something, your constituency sees the value of it. You can call it socialism or whatever. Your constituency sees the value of it, and then they start to become a little bit more adamant about keeping it.
Right. It's the approval of Obamacare has gone up little by little every year. Right.
That benefits people. The constituency will stop trying to go against it. For example, food stamps. They talk shit about food stamps all the time, how it's this, it's that, it's the other thing, it's whatever, it's this and that. You know what it is? It's a tool to help poor people have food. That's it. That's all it is. Oh, it's expensive. No, it ain't. It costs less than 10 tanks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Stop. Fucking stop.
I hear you.
Socialism is it? You know what socialism? Hey, fat boy, read to me what socialism is. Because socialism isn't communism. They're two very different things.
Yeah.
And there's tons of countries out there that have freedom and have socialist programs. We have socialist programs. What the fuck is Medicaid, man?
We have a lot of. There's a reason and let's just say it how it is too. We have a safety net that was created to help people when they fall so they can get back up. That's what the safety net is for. Mm-hmm. It's designed so that if you have an issue, you let's say get unemployment, for example, then you find a job 6 months later and you move on with the unemployment. If we start losing some of these safety nets, like unemployment benefits, like food stamps in some cases, like, food banks, we start losing some of these things, there's no coming back up, and we just keep drowning. And then we're pumping more money into the system because we're trying to stop crime, or we're trying to stop, poverty in neighborhoods or whatever, and it just becomes an endless cycle. So you need some kind of social. You need some kind of social net.
this weekend, I'm going to say a couple things, more things about um, you know, politics, and then we'll move on to something else because what the fuck.
Yeah.
This weekend we had a what could be considered a very interesting spate of public shootings. Shootings happened all over the country. And one of those places was Austin, Texas, which usually
Yes.
doesn't have a shooting. This was on
But I
the
heard
eve.
I heard that before you said that, because I have a friend in Texas. I text them just to make sure they were okay, and they said that that part of Texas in Austin is like, you know, not a very good part of Austin. Is what I'm saying. So I'm not saying it's a right. It's not saying it's a good thing or anything. I'm just saying it's like, you know, when I mentioned it to her, she was like, "Oh, that's not a surprise." The way she replied to me because of the neighborhood, basically, the way she replied.
But Texas
Not
is
that it
pretty.
means anything. I'm just saying
Texas
it
is pretty.
wasn't. It wasn't where North by Northwest is at. Is what I'm trying to say.
The hotel area where I the year I went to North by Northwest, uh, South by Southwest. Right?
Southwest, Southwest. Like
North by Northwest. That's a
that was
movie.
the movie. I'm
Yeah,
exactly. I'm thinking
South by
movies.
Southwest. I went to South by
Good
Southwest
movie,
the
by
year.
the
I
way.
think the
North
year
by
was
Northwest.
2009. I went
Right.
to 2008. I went to
Right.
2009. Yeah, South by Southwest, and they had a karaoke RV that was sponsored by one of the tech companies, and the karaoke RV, you're like this. You got in the RV and you sang karaoke songs, right? Cool. But all the alcohol was free, and there was a lot of fucking alcohol. It was in fucking sane. You're drinking, you're singing, you're drinking, you're singing. It's 4 in the morning. You're feeling really bad, like you're
Right.
hungover.
Right.
Uh, and
But
yet
you
somehow
don't
you
want to
still
leave
have,
though.
and still somehow you still have time for pancakes.
Right. Right.
When's my first thing? 8 o'clock. I can get an hour of sleep in, right?
Exactly.
That happened
Yeah.
more than once. Um,
And there's video somewhere of it.
but the thing is that's really interesting is they were going to pass a law on the eve of these shootings. By the way, Austin is the capital of Texas.
Yes.
The eve of these shootings that was going to make carry a gun in Texas without a license. You don't need a
Yeah.
license, just get a gun. Blah 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 blah. And I think that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. Holy shit, what the fuck is wrong with Texas, man? What is wrong with Texas, man? Ugh.
Texas is the Wild West. It always has been.
No, it wasn't. For a while, it was. The thing is that there's a bunch of conservatives in Texas that really want to roll back the clock to something akin to 1920, I guess. And
Yeah.
you know what? I think that people of Texas are going to get really pissed off with these assholes, and because they feel protected because of gerrymandering, they think they're going to get away with it. But the unfortunate thing is, and by the way, they make sure. The other thing that's happening in Texas, by the way, is fantastic. Remember the power grid that went out when it got too cold?
Yes.
And they said, "Yeah, well, our power grid works because we're really made for it being too hot." Guess what happened this week? The power grid went down because it was too
hot.
Oh my god! And they could have fixed that. They could have done something, but instead they just worried about voting rights and making sure you couldn't vote. So
Right.
good on you, Texas.
Just don't cross. Don't cross the streams. That's
It's
all I
going
gotta
to be
say.
the kind of thing that they you know how they did the Capitol insurrection here?
Yeah.
They might do it there. And you know what? I would be hard pressed for them not a couple people to be hung by that. And you know what? It's getting to the point where the Republicans are in trouble. Every time they pass a law where they protect people they shouldn't be protecting, it's getting to be kind of like look. I'm not looking for insurrection. I'm not trying to get people to fight anything. I don't care. You let this happen, right? You're a voter. You're letting yourself be suppressed. You let this happen. Insurrections happen when people feel that they're no longer being allowed to be free. And right now, in 25 states across the country, this is what's happening, including Wisconsin and Michigan. And other states where in Pennsylvania, although I don't think it's going to be going that long for Pennsylvania anymore.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, where these particular state governments have been on a roll for the last 6 years and emboldened by Trump. Arizona, it's going to be very interesting over what happens in the next couple of years with these particular states' governments.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's just fucking interesting. You know, we'll see.
The beauty of it as he speaks, folks, I'm seeing him pondering just where we're going in society and breaking it down and understanding, is this part of a bigger, are we in the present or are we in the future or are we somewhere in between?
The present, the past,
It
the
all
future.
times
Are we what part of the swan are we? Point at the swan. Tell me where you are.
Exactly. Good time.
Yeah, think about the swan though. Seriously.
Yeah, no, you got me thinking.
Yeah,
As you speak, it's just in my head. Just I see a swan. I can't get it on my head now.
Ted Lasso did that.
It's true. It's true. It's very true.
It's very true. So we can figure it out, you know. But as we all know, tea is garbage water.
I like tea.
I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
I love it. Anyway, so no. The realization is that we're heading towards something. I believe that we are heading towards something. I think that, and it's really crazy. I never thought I'd say this. I think we have the right person in the White House for this to happen. Because he is so damn he is so Biden.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You know, he doesn't nothing.
He's been in politics for 50 years. It doesn't phase him. You know what I'm trying to say? It goes right off of him.
Like,
right.
You know, it's like, you know, it's really
true.
Funny.
It's true.
And I find it really hilarious because he's like you know, there was like the whole infrastructure thing. Biden was like, all right, we let you talk for 2 months, and you've done nothing. We're done. Get out. Like, he kicked out the just get out. Like, they even tossed him outside the White House.
But that's why the Republicans are so, like, they keep reaching, because he's not falling for the bait. He doesn't go in and, like, you know, it was easy to get under Trump's skin. He would come and attack, or even Obama would say things, even though it was not always like an attack. He was always trying to be on an interview and kind of come after them. This guy, he doesn't care. He's just like, I'm 80 years old. I've been through all the wars. You know, it doesn't bother me.
He knows what you're up to. Like, he just knows it. Like, he's like, yeah, okay. And then we want to play the game. Let's play the game. You had 2 months to figure it out and negotiate with me. It's obvious you don't want to do anything. We're just gonna pass this law now. Let's go. Moving on.
Right. And it's true. It's true.
Exactly what he's doing. And I think that overall, it becomes this thing where we start to realize that maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he cares about getting his thing. Remember when we were talking about how you said that he's no longer looking for. To do that thing with student loans. Back on the table this week. Back on the table.
Well, we'll see how far it goes. I still think he's playing a game with that. You know, I don't think that's a priority in a sense, and I think he's still using it as a.
I think he's doing it for a couple of reasons. I think he is going to do something.
I agree with that.
And I think he's doing it to scare the fucking Republicans. Like, he'll say, well, you know, if you don't pass this infrastructure thing, maybe we have enough votes to pass the thing. And the banks will lose their shit, and they'll call the Republicans and say, wait. And then, you know, they'll say, okay, we'll pass infrastructure.
Well, in this case, can he just do, and I'm saying this hating the words coming out of my mouth, because I'm not I don't like executive orders in any capacity, to be honest with you. You know, we should be going through a process of, you know, working in the Senate and coming up with stuff. Sure. But that being said, can he just use an executive order for the next like 3 years and just wipe out debt and just, they can't, like, even if somebody overturns it, they can't say pay back the debt, can they, at that point, if another president comes back and tries to overturn it?
Nope.
Like, it's done. It's you know, it's clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty. That's in this case. That's the beauty of it.
Here's the thing about student loans and millennials. Millennials are really fucking trying to pay back their student loans. Right. On the average student loan for most millennials is about $400 a month. Wait a minute. Do that math. The average millennial is working a job that pays them about $15 to $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Right. That means a third of their paycheck is going to pay student loans.
No, I agree. I know. They're being killed. They're crushed by it.
Third of that paycheck can go for.
Right.
Can go for clothes,
Yeah.
rent
Right.
a car,
Help the bar out down the road. Right.
help
I
the
agree
bar
with you.
out down the road,
I
because
know.
all that money floods directly into the economy. Fuck the banks. I'm
Right.
all for it. Fuck the
Right.
banks, man. At this point, fuck them. All right, enough with the politics. We got to talk about the race. We have Ted Cruz too to talk about. I don't want to do that. He's an asshole. Or Jim Jordan. Holy shit, that guy. What a dope. Oh, Trump and the Justice Department. And you were saying last week it got worse.
I know, and it keeps getting worse every
It
time they
keeps
go
getting
deeper and deeper.
worse.
It's
And
crazy.
Barr's
I
like,
agree.
I don't know anything about it. It's like
Right.
the guy who
Even
was in
Sessions,
charge.
even Jeff Sessions, was like, I didn't hear anything about this. I don't know.
And the guy who was in charge of their work quit this week because he was like, I'm gonna go to jail.
Right. Because it's crazy. I know.
So NBA, man.
The Nets
Nets.
pivotal game 5. They've had
Pivotal
lots of
game
injuries. So it comes down to this with the Nets. If you're into basketball, folks, can Kevin Garnett, who you're paying big money to, who's been known as one of the best players in the NBA for the last few years, can he pull the Nets out of this? Because now that the other big guys are hurt, it's up to him to try to push the Nets to get to the next round, because this is a big game 5, and maybe Kyrie and Harden will come back in game 6 or 7. But they need to win this game, and they need this guy to be a big player. He's never been the big player before. This can help his legacy if he wins this game and propels the Nets to the next round. I think it would make him, gonna step up his legacy in that sense. But if he doesn't do it, they're gonna be in deep trouble. So he needs to show, not only do it for himself. I think if I was Garnett, to me, and I don't know how, because sports athletes today kind of look at the world differently because of social media and because of the money that they get. But I've always, and we talked about this, as an athlete, I want to be the guy who plays against the best guys in the biggest situation. And there's no other bigger situation for him right now in his lifetime. Like, he's going to do this. It's going to be on his shoulders. Can he do it? Is the question. I don't know if he can. I think he's a guy that likes his points. He likes scoring 30, 40. He can distribute a little and do stuff, but I think he needs somebody else. I hope he proves me wrong, but that's kind of the way I feel when I watch him on the court, basically.
You think that he might be too egotistical to play for the team? You think that he's going to be about him and not about the team?
I think there are some guys that are just like, for example, Jordan was all about him, right? Jordan would score 50 points and he wanted the ball at the biggest moment in the biggest spots, but Jordan knew when to give up the ball to hit, a guy to get a 3. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. I don't know if this guy has that extra ability to be like, I'm going to give it to Steve Kerr and hit the 3. I don't know if Kevin Durant has that in him. I think he wants to take that 3, even if it's not the best shot. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's the difference between the greats and everybody else. Jordan had that gear where he can score at will and get the big shot. But if he saw an open guy and he trusted you, he knew you were going to get the shot. And by the way, you better hit it if you're Steve Kerr, because if not, Jordan's coming after you. And you didn't want that at all. But he knew when to give it up, and he knew when to let the other role players dominate. And I don't know if he has that in him. I hope he does, because I would like to see the Nets keep going deeper in, just to have a cool kind of championship later on. But I don't know if he can. I don't know. That's my breakdown.
Well, that's a good breakdown. This is game 5, so it's a big thing. If Milwaukee Bucks win,
right,
we're looking at a frightening situation.
Right.
So this is this East semifinal.
Yeah, so if they win this round, they go to the finals against whoever wins between Atlanta. And that's the other thing. Whoever wins between Atlanta and Philly, if the Nets win, I mean, they're going to the finals, because neither of those teams should beat the Nets. Like, they should beat those teams at this point.
You think the Nets will beat, if they go to the finals?
I think that
the Nets will beat Philadelphia.
They've always been the big
Atlanta.
3. They've always been the favorites because of the big 3, right? Because of that, they should, in theory, go to the finals. But because of injuries and everything at this point, if they get through this round, I don't see how a team like, the other two teams should beat them, especially when they get healthy again, which they should by then.
But to speak to the NBA this year, this has been a very interesting playoff situation.
I agree.
LA's out. The Knicks were in it for a little while. The Celtics are out. So this is a lot of the heavy hitters. Miami's out. A lot of the heavy hitters that you would usually be around are out.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you think the Bucks were going to make it this far? Honestly. You
Right,
know,
right,
so it's very interesting to see how they're moving the Nets, even the Nets. It's very
right,
interesting to see how they're moving through this particular um, point in this particular season.
right.
Um, you know, the bubble they had to play in the bubble. It was all crazy. It's nuts. It's been nuts. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next and
And what do
seeing
you
where the Nets
think?
end up.
What do you think about Major League Baseball today announcing June 21st, I believe it is? It's in 5, 6 days. Any pitcher that scuffs the ball or uses some kind of illegal substance on the ball is will be suspended for at least 2 weeks. I believe it's 10 days, and it hurts
Mhm.
the team because you can't replace him on the roster. So let's say the guy gets taken out, you'll be short a guy, and you can't
How are they
replace
gonna
him with
fucking
anybody else.
enforce that? Honestly, folks.
Well, they say the umpires are going to check the
This
balls
is not the
constantly,
first
basically.
fucking time, and empires don't do shit. So that ball dipped too far. Let me take a look. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, come
Right,
on. I I
right.
I I'm First of all, big shakeup. Uh, big shakeup, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. We can only look to the future at this point. The
The
president has been
press.
staked. I'm interested to see what's going on. On a different note, you know, um, there's been a lot of stuff about college football. College teams are very interesting last week.
Yes.
But not that I know one particular thing, but it's just like very interesting. And you know what's even more interesting? How much push video game. Well, that was interesting. We just kind of fell off there. I think that there was some kind of power loss or something. Um,
I thought it was a blackout and I was going to start screaming, Se fue la luz.
Se fue la luz. Back to that thing. Yeah, I'm not wearing my headphones, so I'm trying my best not to cause any issues. It happens sometimes, folks. Technical issues, technical situations, whatever. But we were talking about video games. We were talking about college, and then video games. And I was going to say how interesting it's gotten so popular. And you said, yeah, it's interesting. And I said, who cares? I said, who the fuck cares, actually? But that's when everything went off. But to be honest with you, I kind of find it interesting, but it's not that interesting because Madden's been around for a long time and all these other things. And it's more along the lines of those shooting games like Splatoon and shit like that.
Right,
And
right.
cool.
But it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry now, these gaming worlds. So it doesn't surprise me that schools are giving scholarships and they're giving classes on it and stuff that, they look at this as the next. I've read articles that colleges that can't compete with like the football schools or the baseball schools, they're going after these gamers to make themselves the game school so that they can get gamers. So they're giving scholarships to these guys and these women so that they can build a gaming program, which is crazy.
You know what? You got to do something, right? Good.
Yeah.
Whatever. Maybe the NCAA will figure something out or whatever and start gaming systems or whatever. I mean, great.
Right.
Great. Wait, whatever. In Star Trek, I know I use Star Trek a lot, folks. There's this thing called the Edict,
Yeah.
which is basically means a whole lot of shit out there, and you should be okay. Infinite diversity and infinite combination. So why not? It's fun. It's interesting. But anyway, we just wanted to put this little thing in here because we ended so badly. That's something that I just said, whatever. So thanks for coming on. Sorry about the issue. Welcome back, and hey, have a great week.
Enjoy.
Oh, no song of the week.
No song of the week because we got broken up. We don't know what to do with that.
We didn't speak to the song of the week.
I was going to go.
What?
Exactly. I was going to go because we were deep into this, world. Virtual Insanity with Jamiroquai.
Oh my God, Jamiroquai's Virtual Insanity. Oh my Lord.
For some reason that popped in my head when you talk about the Swan and the future and future.
Oh, because it's different. The Swan. Oh man. All right, fair enough. Virtual Insanity is song of the week. I do not own this song. Do not come after me. I'm not singing this song. Please check it out in your various
Virtual Insanity, baby.
Go buy the 12-inch. All right. Have a great weekend. A great
Enjoy
week.
it.
Whatever.
Future.